Violence, billions of dollars. 5 reasons why the U.S. government feared Pablo Escobar. Welcome to the new episode of The History Guy. This was the empire of Pablo Escobar, the kingpin of the Medellin cartel. Hey everyone, you're the History Guy here. Today, we're taking a deep dive into the dark and dangerous world of Pablo Escobar. We'll be exploring why the U.S. government wasn't exactly getting a good night's sleep during his reign as the most powerful drug lord the world had ever seen. Reason 1, the cocaine kingpin. Let's start by understanding why Escobar became such a huge threat. He wasn't just another drug dealer, he was the kingpin of the Medellin cartel. In the 1970s, Escobar rose to power by ruthlessly eliminating rivals and creating a network of smugglers. By the 1980s, the Medellin cartel controlled a staggering 80% of the cocaine flooding into the United States. This wasn't just a few kilos stashed in suitcases. We're talking about tons of cocaine every week, feeding a growing addiction crisis in America. The impact was devastating. Crime rates soared, families were shattered. The U.S. government was facing a national health crisis. But Escobar wasn't just a faceless villain, he reveled in his wealth. He built a lavish estate complete with a zoo and a private army. He showed off his power, and it sent a chilling message: he was untouchable. This arrogance, this immense power, is what truly terrified the U.S. government. Reason 2, brutal violence and intimidation. Escobar wasn't just about wealth, he ruled by fear. He understood that intimidation was a powerful weapon. He used public assassinations to send a message: defy him and you die. These weren't targeted killings in back alleys. He hit politicians, journalists, anyone who dared to oppose him. And it wasn't just Colombia that felt the terror. Escobar wasn't afraid to target those who threatened his empire. He bombed Colombian government buildings and even a passenger plane. The message was clear: Escobar would retaliate with extreme violence, and the U.S. government knew they weren't immune. American officials worried that this violence could spill over the border, putting American lives at risk. Imagine a drug lord with unimaginable wealth, a private army, and a willingness to kill without hesitation. That's the threat Escobar posed. The U.S. feared being dragged into a brutal war on American soil. Reason 3, corrupting institutions. Escobar's power wasn't just about guns and cocaine. He understood a key truth: money talks. His wealth was obscene. We're talking about billions of dollars. And Escobar used this money to corrupt Colombia's institutions from the inside out. Police turned a blind eye. Judges looked the other way. Politicians became puppets, dancing to Escobar's tune. This wasn't just a few bad apples. This was systemic corruption. The U.S. government watched in horror as a powerful criminal organization essentially bought control of a sovereign nation. It was a nightmare scenario. Imagine a country where the law doesn't apply, where justice can be bought. This eroded Colombia's government and created a haven for drug trafficking. It was a threat to stability in the region and a major headache for the U.S. trying to fight the drug war. Reason 4, the threat to extradition. One of the U.S. government's biggest weapons against international crime is extradition. This is when a criminal is captured in one country but sent to another country to face trial for their crimes. Extradition allows countries to work together to bring criminals to justice, no matter where they hide. But Escobar hated the idea of extradition. Facing trial in the U.S. meant facing serious consequences, so Escobar came up with a cunning plan. He negotiated with the Colombian government to build his own prison, a luxurious one he called La Catedral. This wasn't your typical prison cell. La Catedral had a disco, a football field, even a zoo. It was more like a resort. The idea was simple: make prisons so comfortable The Colombian government would never want to send him to a real one, especially not one that might extradite him to the U.S. This became a major point of contention. The U.S. government saw La Catedral as a mockery of the justice system. Escobar was basically living a life of luxury while evading real punishment. Now do you know how dangerous Escobar was? Well, you have no idea. The threat of extradition and Escobar's attempts to avoid it through La Catedral created a huge international headache. It undermined cooperation between the U.S. and Colombia and highlighted the lengths Escobar would go to in order to avoid facing justice. I know these things doesn't look like much to you. And some people started fantasizing to become one of his follower or idolize him. But reality is he was a really dangerous man and everyone in the world scared the man. The last reason. Before we jump into the last reason, if you haven't subscribed to our channel, please like the video, share it with your loved ones, and hit the bell icon, as we really need your support. Reason 5. The potential for wider destabilization. Escobar wasn't just a threat to Colombia, he was a threat to the entire region. Imagine a powerful drug lord with immense wealth, a private army, and the ability to corrupt governments. That's the kind of destabilization the U.S. government feared. If Escobar remained unchecked, his influence could spread like a virus. Colombia could become a narco-state, a country where drug cartels hold more power than the government. This would create a haven for criminals and a major security threat for the entire region. The U.S. has a vested interest in a stable Colombia. Colombia is a key strategic partner in South America. Destabilization there could have ripple effects throughout the continent, impacting trade, security, and regional alliances. The U.S. government understood that stopping Escobar wasn't just about stopping a drug lord. It was about preventing a domino effect that could destabilize a crucial region. So, as you can see, there were many reasons why the U.S. government was terrified of Pablo Escobar. He was a ruthless criminal who threatened not just the U.S., but the entire region. In the next video, we'll explore how the U.S. and Colombia eventually joined forces to take down Escobar. Alright, let's recap. We just explored 5 reasons why Pablo Escobar sent shivers down the spine of the U.S. government. First, he controlled a massive chunk of the cocaine trade, flooding American streets with drugs. Second, his brutal violence and tactics created a climate of fear that could easily spill over the border. Third, his obscene wealth allowed him to corrupt Colombian institutions from the inside out. Fourth, Escobar's attempts to avoid extradition through his luxurious prison, La Catedral, was a mockery of the justice system and a major headache for international cooperation. Finally, his power and influence threatened to destabilize the entire region, turning Colombia into a narco-state. The story of Pablo Escobar is a complex and fascinating one. It's a story about the dangers of drugs, the power of corruption, and the lengths some will go to in order to maintain control. If you're interested in learning more about the drug war, Colombian history, or Escobar himself, there are tons of resources out there. Documentaries, books, you name it. Leave a comment below if you have any recommendations. Thanks for watching. Take care of yourself and of your channel, The History Guy.